Hello, horror aficionados. Ready to dive into the spine-chilling world of 2024's top horror flicks? We've scoured IMDb to bring you the creme de la creme of terror. So, grab your popcorn and maybe a blanket to hide under, as we unravel the top 5 horror movies that have fans screaming for more. 1. Night Swim, Dive into Terror. Introduction. Night Swim takes us to a seemingly perfect suburban setting, a lovely house with a backyard pool. However, what seems like the ultimate dream home quickly turns into a nightmare. As a family of 4 moves into their new abode, little do they know that their tranquil new life will soon be overshadowed by the dark, terrifying secrets lurking beneath the surface. And by beneath, we mean in the water. If you thought pools were just for relaxation, think again. Plot unraveled. The family, led by a father who's overly obsessed with the American dream, finds themselves drawn to the sparkling pool in their backyard. The house is gorgeous, the sun is shining, but the pool, well, let's just say it's more than just a place for a summer swim. After a series of bizarre and terrifying incidents surrounding the pool, the family begins to question whether the house is haunted or worse, if the pool itself is cursed. Unbeknownst to them, their backyard oasis has a dark history, with a hidden tragedy tied to it. When the family investigates, they unearth a centuries-old secret, and the pool, once a symbol of joy, becomes the stage for something much more sinister. Key themes: the deceptiveness of appearances. The family's dream home hides a dark secret, showing how outward appearances often conceal the truth. Water as a metaphor. In many horror films, water symbolizes life and renewal, but in Night Swim, it becomes a vessel of death and terror. Water here is both a lure and a trap. Family dynamics. As the family faces mounting terror, we see how they handle stress and fear. Each member reacts differently, adding depth to their character development. Production insights. Night Swim was designed to make audiences feel paranoid about their everyday environments. From the early development stages, director and writer teams discussed how a seemingly innocent setting, a pool, could be turned into a terrifying place of unknown danger. The film utilizes chilling sound design, a creepy score, and careful lighting to transform the pool into something nightmarish. Audience reception. Critics have lauded the film's slow build-up and eerie atmosphere. Some have even compared it to classics like Jaws, but with a much more psychological horror edge. Fans love it because it's not just a haunted house story. It's a tale of something darker, hidden in plain sight. The film has sparked many debates on social media about whether pools should be avoided at night. So, is the fear of water justified? According to Night Swim, maybe it is. Fun fact, if you're wondering about the film's chilling water sequences, the director took inspiration from real-life underwater paranormal encounters, where people report seeing strange figures and shapes in the depths of pools and lakes. Eerie, right? Humorous commentary. It's like Jaws meets The Ring, but instead of a creepy videotape, it's just a pool. Warning. After watching this, you might think twice before diving into your next pool party. Toonstein. There's no such thing as a perfect reanimation. As Lisa attempts to mold Victor into the perfect boyfriend, she has to juggle the chaos of high school, the weirdness of her family, and the dark secret of Victor's past. What ensues is an absurd adventure filled with quirky characters, awkward high school moments, and romantic confusion. Key themes: the perils of perfection. The team made sure to capture the essence of the decade, blending it with the classic Frankenstein monster trope. The result is a whimsical and visually appealing mashup of horror and teen romance. Audience reception. But it's safe to say this is one experiment you shouldn't try at home. 3. Imaginary. When your childhood friend comes back to haunt you. Introduction. There's nothing scarier than something that was once a source of comfort turning against you. And Imaginary takes this fear to a whole new level. This psychological horror explores the terrifying idea of an imaginary friend from childhood coming back to seek revenge after being forgotten. Imagine growing up with someone or something that was your confidant, only to have it turn into the monster under your bed when you least expect it. Spooky stuff. Plot unraveled. The protagonist, Sarah, returns to her childhood home to care for her sick mother. As she revisits her old room, she is confronted by memories of her imaginary friend, an entity she created as a child for comfort. But now, as an adult, Sarah finds herself haunted by this imaginary companion. What once was a protector becomes a malicious, vengeful presence that refuses to be ignored. The more Sarah tries to escape, the more the creature grows in power, seeking revenge for the years it spent abandoned. Key themes: memory and guilt. The film explores how our past haunts us and how we sometimes ignore or suppress parts of our childhood. But these things, much like our imaginary friends, have a way of coming back when least expected. The power of childhood. It taps into the universal fear of childhood trauma, using imaginary friends as a metaphor for the unresolved issues we carry with us into adulthood. Isolation and fear. Sarah is physically isolated in the house, which makes the horror even more intense. The isolation serves as a metaphor for her mental state and her inability to escape the past. Production insights. Imaginary stands out in its use of psychological horror. Rather than relying on cheap jump scares, the film slowly builds tension, keeping viewers on edge. The director used a mix of practical effects and subtle visual cues to make the imaginary friend appear both terrifying and human at the same time, creating a haunting audience reception. Critics and audiences alike have praised the film's clever take on the horror genre. It's not your typical slasher film. Instead, it's a slow, creeping terror that digs deep into your psyche. Fans who love psychological horror will find this film a standout, with its intense atmosphere and powerful themes of fear and guilt. Fun fact, the film's concept came from an urban legend about people encountering their childhood imaginary friends as adults, with disturbing results. Some creepy stuff, huh? Humorous commentary. The only thing worse than your childhood imaginary friend is the fact that it's back and it's pissed off. In Imaginary, your imaginary friend's idea of a playdate is terrifying. 4. Immaculate, faith, fear, and the convent's dark secrets continues. Plot unraveled. Cecilia arrives at the convent, eager to embrace a life of service and devotion. At first glance, the place seems perfect. The nuns are warm and welcoming, the environment serene. But Cecilia quickly senses that something is off. Whispers in the night, strange figures in the hallways, and cryptic warnings from a few of the sisters paint a very different picture of what's going on behind the convent's holy facade. As Cecilia delves deeper, she uncovers horrifying secrets. Rituals hidden in plain sight, forbidden texts, and unexplainable supernatural occurrences. Is it her faith being tested, or is something evil truly lurking within? The real twist? Cecilia realizes the greatest danger might not be the supernatural, it might be the people around her. The film keeps viewers guessing. Is the threat spiritual, psychological, or human? Key themes. The loss of innocence. Cecilia starts as a wide-eyed believer, but the darkness she encounters forces her to question everything she holds sacred. Faith versus fear. The movie explores how faith can serve as both a source of strength and a potential blind spot when facing evil. Isolation. Much like Sarah in Imaginary, Cecilia is isolated, this time in a convent. Her separation from the outside world heightens the tension and her vulnerability. Production insights. Filmed in a real 15th century Italian monastery, Immaculate uses its stunning architecture to create an oppressive atmosphere. Director Michael Chavez, known for The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, worked with a design team to amplify the claustrophobic feel of the convent. Natural lighting and candlelit scenes make viewers feel like they're truly trapped alongside Cecilia. Sydney Sweeney's performance is a highlight. Known for her roles in Euphoria and The White Lotus, Sweeney brings a depth to Cecilia's character, balancing her vulnerability with her growing strength as the story progresses. Audience reception. The film has been hailed as an atmospheric masterpiece by critics. Audiences have praised the slow burn tension, comparing it to classics like Rosemary's Baby and The Witch. It's not just a horror movie. It's a psychological experience that leaves you questioning long after the credits roll. Fun fact, the director revealed in an interview that some of the convent's real-life history inspired parts of the script. The monastery was reportedly the site of mysterious disappearances centuries ago. Coincidence? Maybe. Humorous commentary. Cecilia came for inner peace, but she left with outer trauma. Who knew nuns could be this scary? I mean, they're scarier than my third-grade math teacher, and that's saying something. 5. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, The Nightmare Returns. Introduction. You thought the 100-acre woods were safe? Think again. In Blood and Honey 2, Pooh Bear, Piglet, and the gang are back, and they're more unhinged than ever. If the first movie turned your childhood nostalgia into nightmares, the sequel cranks the terror up to 11. This isn't the honey-loving Pooh we grew up with. It's the honey-hungry, machete-wielding nightmare we never asked for but can't stop watching. Plot unraveled. The sequel picks up where the first film left off, with Pooh and Piglet wreaking havoc in Ashdown Forest. However, their small-scale reign of terror escalates as they venture into the nearby town, bringing chaos to unsuspecting residents. Tigger, previously absent, makes his debut, and spoiler alert, he's not bouncing around spreading joy. As the group continues their bloody rampage, the townsfolk band together to fight back, leading to a brutal showdown. Key themes. Childhood innocence corrupted. The movie takes beloved childhood characters and turns them into grotesque figures of horror, forcing viewers to confront the loss of innocence. Survival horror, with its rural setting and desperate characters, the film captures the raw intensity of survival horror, much like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Social commentary. Some fans argue the film reflects on humanity's relationship with nature, showing what happens when we exploit the natural world. But let's be honest, it's mostly just about killer stuffed animals. Production insights. The First Blood and Honey was a low-budget indie experiment, but the sequel gets the full upgrade treatment. Director Reese Waterfield embraced the controversy surrounding the first film, using it to push creative boundaries. With better CGI, practical effects, and more ambitious kills, Blood and Honey 2 delivers on the promise of over-the-top carnage. Audience reception. Fans of campy, gory horror will love the sequel. It's self-aware, leaning into its absurd premise while delivering gruesome kills and dark humor. Social media has been ablaze with memes, and horror fans have turned the film into a midnight screening cult phenomenon. Fun fact, Tigger joins the murderous cast because the character officially entered the public domain this year. Now we're wondering, will Eeyore make an appearance in Blood and Honey 3? Humorous commentary. This is what happens when you take away Pooh's honey stash. Lesson learned. I'll never look at Winnie the Pooh pajamas the same way again. Closing remarks. The Year of Fear. 2024 has brought a smorgasbord of horror delights, with something for everyone. For fans of aquatic terror, Night Swim will leave you afraid of your own pool. If you love a quirky, offbeat tale, Lisa Frankenstein has the perfect blend of humor and horror. Want psychological thrills? Imaginary will keep you up at night, wondering if your childhood imaginary friend still remembers you. Looking for atmospheric, thought-provoking scares? Immaculate will test your nerves and your faith. And if you're here for the absurd, Winnie the Pooh. Blood and Honey 2 is pure, unadulterated chaos.